All set?
All right, good afternoon, everybody. It is 3:05 p.m. on Wednesday, August 27, and I will call the meeting of the Workforce Diversity and Inclusion Advisory Committee to order. We have 8 members present, 4 in chambers and 4 on Zoom. So we are ready to go. And first order of business is simply welcome and introductions. And since we have 1 new member today, we don't always do the introductions, but I'd like to do them. So if folks are up for it, I'd like to go around and have each person introduce yourself with name and pronouns if you want, what your role in the county is, could be job, could be however you interpret that, how long you've been on WDIC, and one specific thing you think of when you think of workforce diversity and inclusion. I'm just curious what comes up. Don't try to define it, but like any tiny example. So I can model to start while you're contemplating. My name is Veronica Pillar. My pronouns are they, them. I am on the Tompkins County Legislature and currently chair of this committee. I've been on WDIC, I guess 3.5 years now. And one simple thing I think of for workforce diversity and inclusion is wheelchair access everywhere. And pass it to my right.
Okay. My name is Rob Brown. My pronouns are he, she, and they. I am a community appointee to this committee from the town of Lansing. And in my day job, I'm the finance director for county affiliate, Cornell Cooperative Extension of Tompkins County. And one thing when I think about workforce diversity and inclusion, my answer for that today is show, don't tell. Plenty of us put out statements, but if we don't live them, then we never get anywhere, and our inauthenticity is exposed to the workforce.
Great. Good afternoon. My name is Shauna Black, and my pronouns are she, her. I am a legislator, and I believe this is my 3rd WDIC committee. I think one word that I think of whenever I think of this committee, and I haven't always felt this way, is essential. I certainly feel like with the political climate and many of us feeling like our rights are being threatened, I think we need to be very similar to Rob's approach. We need to be loud, we need to be proud, and we need to have a space where all of us feel comfortable being who we are. So I hope and I feel like that's probably this committee.
Thank you.
All right, I'll go next. I'm Samantha Almendinger. I am the new County Training and Development Coordinator in HR. I have been with the county for 7 years now. I previously worked at the Department of Social Services as the Staff Development and Quality Coordinator there, and just moved into this position in April this year. So this is my first meeting, brand new to this committee, happy to be here and excited. The thing that I think about when I think of the importance of this committee is reducing barriers to participating in programs that we're offering, yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Jordan, can I make you take a turn? And then we'll go to Zoom.
My name is Jordan Cree. I'm the staffing clerk for this advisory committee. My pronouns are she, her, and my word would be knowledge. If everybody were the same, then we would never learn and grow.
I like that.
Me too.
All right, let's go to Zoom. How about we'll start with John, and when you're done, pick another person to go next, since there's no natural order on the screen.
Sure. John Halachik, I'm the Assistant Director of 911 for the Department of Emergency Response with the county. And the one thing that comes to mind, or that I keep in mind when on the committee, and I've been on the committee for probably just about 6 months now, is being able to be your authentic self in any county space. And Lillian.
You got me, John. My name's Lillian Isaacs. I'm the information security analyst working at Tompkins County ITS. I've been on the committee. I joined when John joined, so about 6 months. And for me, this is about acceptance and being able to be a part of the party. I'm not going to say how old I am, but I'm old enough to know how hard it is when there aren't programs like this. I had to scrap my way to where I am today. And fortunately, well, hopefully it doesn't get taken away, but women have a much better time of it in the workplace being even considered for these types of roles. At any rate, that's one word: acceptance. Oh, and the next person, Nick.
Thanks, Lillian. Yeah, my name is Nick Bennett. My pronouns are he, him, his. I am currently an assistant professor of screenwriting and film at Ithaca College, but 3 years ago, I was the communication specialist for Tompkins County Workforce and Workforce Development. I did that for about 1.5 years. And in that time, I was one of the chairs of JEDI for Access and Equity. As like a community member, part of this committee, I also feel like I have a stake in it, not just currently as someone who works in Tompkins County, but I was born in Tompkins County 30 plus years ago and grew up in Tompkins County. And so I feel very obviously connected. And I've been on WDIC for somewhere between 2 to 3 years. And when I think about this work, I think I'm taking a different approach here, but what I wrote down, like the language around particularly the like job application and hiring process, it's stuff that we've actually worked on in this committee and in JEDI. And what I mean by that is like inclusive language that is encompassing of more than just biological sex at birth, a wide variety of ethnic and racial options and categorizing, right? But also things like language surrounding requiring a vehicle or a license, right? Things that are maybe exclusive and excluding folks of different financial and location-specific backgrounds. So inclusive language, I guess.
Thank you.
Oops, I forgot to assign the next person. Jen, Dr. Oh my gosh, I can't pronounce your last name. Micah, I think.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Thanks. Jen Micah, she, her. I currently work at Cornell. I'm the Director of Diversity Inclusion for the S.C. Johnson College of Business. I have been on this committee for a couple years as a community member. I'm a member of IAAA, the Ithaca Asian American Association, and a member of the Community Leaders of Color, CLOC. When I think of this committee, kind of like big picture overall, I think of just kind of equitable access and opportunity, and then also general respect across differences. Has everybody gone?
I think everybody has gone. Yeah, thank you. Thank you all. I wrote down these things. Also, something Lillian said about, I think, being part of the party reminded me of a quote I've heard a bunch that I had to look up to not screw it up, but it's something like, diversity is being invited to the party, inclusion is being asked to dance. And sometimes added, and belonging is dancing like no one is watching. That last is not in the name of this particular committee, but it is important. All right, welcome. Do we have any changes to the agenda? Seeing none, chair's report. The only thing I want to discuss is the rescheduling of a bunch of our upcoming meetings. The September one is going to be as scheduled on our typical fourth Wednesday, but then October, November, and December all have conflicts, more or less. And so for October, the conflict, I don't have that one in front of me. This meeting would normally be on October 22nd, but that is also the last day of the GARE regional meeting that I know a lot of us are going to. And I think it may be wrapped up by 3 p.m., but it's possible that the last thing people will want to do after a good solid 2 days, 2.5 days of convening is convene a little more. So I am proposing that we reschedule that meeting for the following Wednesday, October 29th, since there is a 5th Wednesday in October. Do folks know whether they would be able, people who are here right now know whether they'd be able to make that?
That would be fine.
That's okay for me.
Okay, seeing
It works
some
for me too.
nods.
Me too.
All right, fabulous. Let's confirm that then, Jordan, thank you. And then our typical November date falls the day before Thanksgiving, and our typical December date falls the day before Christmas, neither of which are either good times for an afternoon meeting. So in November, and I would, we have a bunch of flexibility for scheduling in November, so I don't know that picking a specific time now is feasible or necessary, but it'd be nice to narrow it down. So the originally scheduled date would have been November 26th. Some days that are available are earlier that week, Monday the 24th at any time during the business day, or the previous week, Monday the 17th, Tuesday the 18th, or Friday the 21st. Again, basically any time during the business day, except that if Tuesday, it has to be done by 4. Does anybody have, I guess, certain of those days or blocks of time, if it's like I can never do mornings, that you know don't work for you?
The 17th is awesome for me.
You said it is awesome?
Yeah, it's good. Yep.
Fabulous, okay.
I will not be here the 17th or the 19th. We will be in Connecticut receiving the Dispatcher of the Year award.
Congratulations.
Yeah, one of our dispatchers was selected to win the regional award, so we'll all be in Connecticut that week.
That's awesome. That's a good reason to be not here. Yeah.
I have a complicated class schedule and don't want folks to prioritize my class schedule. So I will try to make whatever everyone agrees to.
Okay. I think
I could either date, I can make either date, so.
when you say either day, I think it's November 17, 18, 21, and 24 are all options. Yeah. Yeah. And I think we'll have to come back and like finish this up by email. Okay. Do people generally like the 3 o'clock time, or could it be whenever?
3's good for me.
Yeah, it just depends on the day for me, Veronica. It's date driven more than anything.
Yeah, same.
Okay. I'm seeing in the room some like mild nods to the 3 is fine and big nods to it depends on the day. So that's helpful.
I could do 3 Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, we'll come back by email with some specific time slots.
Okay.
For the December meeting, options include, so we're not going to do it December 24th, but options include either December 18th to Thursday in the afternoon, like 1 to 5 p.m., or December 22nd, the Monday, anytime. Does anyone have clear conflicts or preferences between those two?
18, I would be best with 18. 22 is final grades due at IC, and I will be locked away doing those. But again, don't prioritize mine, please.
I understand. Anyone else?
18th, I'm available 11 to 3, and the 22nd, I'm on vacation.
Okay.
Either's fine for me.
Okay. Fabulous. I think that's enough to go on for now. So we'll come back with specific options for specific date and time options for November and December. But the October meeting will be Wednesday, October 29th at 3 p.m. I love when there are 5th weeks in a month. Yeah. All right, moving on. Next up, we have minutes approval for the June 25th, 2025 meeting. Could I get a motion to approve those minutes? Shauna moves, Nick seconds. Comments or changes to the minutes from anyone? Seeing none, let's vote. We'll do a roll call vote as usual. Since we've got some people on Zoom, I think I'll go in the room first and then on Zoom. So approval of the June minutes. Samantha?
Yes.
Yes, yeah. Shauna?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
And Lillian?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, that's unanimous. Thank you all. Next up, upcoming proclamations that this committee usually shepherds to the legislature for Heritage Months. We have Hispanic Heritage Month coming up September, I'm always blanking on whether it's 15th or 16th, I think 15th through October 15th. So it's a month long from mid-month to mid-month. And we already got reached out to by the president, I think the president of the Latino Civic Association, about doing a 2025 proclamation and have it tentatively, it's not drafted yet, but would tentatively be set to be presented at the September 16th legislature meeting. There's not, the agenda for the first one in September has already gone out, but I think that is okay. Does anybody want to be involved in working on this proclamation?
I see that there's one that's in the packet. Is that?
Oh, yeah, good question. That's last year's, and often,
Okay.
like, oh, it is the 15th, okay. Often, like, a next year's proclamation for a recurring Heritage Month could be like last year's, but updated. It could be updated a little or a lot. So at least I know, like, when I work on them, if it's not a brand new thing, I'll look at what was done before and go from there. So this is just an example. sometimes the proclamations will mention specific, like year-specific things, like the theme of this year's month is whatever, or when the county is co-sponsoring an event on this date that like are not necessarily the same year after year. For people like working on a proclamation, often it's just helpful to have like more than one person putting in ideas or just eyes on it to go like, yeah, this looks good, or like this thing's weird, or shouldn't we mention something about blah? So it's not a big thing, but it's useful to have volunteers.
I'm happy to help.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
I was going to offer, but I realized that I don't think I'd be able to pull myself back from just writing incendiary language about targeting of persons based on perceived Latin origin.
I mean, you know what? I might welcome that. And the reason that it's a multi-person and review process is that one could write incendiary language and then it does not necessarily make it in the final version.
Then I will help and you can edit my
Okay.
anger.
I'm sorry, I have to head to another meeting.
Yes. Okay, yeah. Thank you, Shauna.
Thanks.
For those that are working on it, please note that any updates or requested changes must be submitted by September 3rd.
Okay, thank you. Yes, we have to have a whole draft done by September 3rd. And then the next step in a proclamation process is we send it to the legislature clerks. They'll send it out to legislators to have a chance to review and edit, object. And then it needs to be final by 1 week before the meeting at which it will be presented so that it can be printed in the agenda packet. And once again, super grateful to Jordan and the other clerks for keeping track of all of these layered deadlines. All right. Moving along, anything else about this or any other proclamations? Let us continue. Oh boy, bear with me a second. For reports and updates, our Chief Equity and Diversity Officer is on vacation right now. I hope having a wonderful time. And so no update there. Our Team Jedi, Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion leader, chair, there we go. Rachel Graham, who's also a member of this committee, is also not here, but she sent me, there we go, sent me some updates to share, and then can someone remind me, are there other people on this committee who are also on Team Jedi?
I am.
Samantha, awesome. So I guess if you have anything to share, you can.
I'm pretty new as well to Team Jedi, so I've only been to a couple meetings. Happy to share something that we worked on last time. We talked about language, and did she provide any info? And build on it?
Oh yeah, what Rachel provided me was first said Jedi did not meet in July, but then neither did WDIC. But she says, on July 15th, we were pleased that the legislature voted to approve the updated diversity, equity, and inclusion policy that some of our committee members worked on. These are Rachel's words, so they're your committee. There was a lot of discussion about this policy, but one thing I would like to ensure is raised again, that our Chief Equity and Diversity Officer advised on record during that meeting, is if we are concerned about how our Tompkins County policies are affected by or could potentially violate executive orders at the federal level, and this is something that came up in the full legislature meeting discussion, our CEDO's recommendation is that we should then review all of our policies that fall within each of those executive orders for consistency and equity. And then the rest of Rachel's update was from the JEDI committee working on researching parental leave. And I guess she had a whole written thing I'm not going to read out that, but that I can forward to all of you. It's got some of their update on what they learned in research, what they got out of a survey sent to county employees, which those of you who are county employees probably got that, hopefully took it. And a clarification that there's two different types of leave that they were looking at. One is, and these are both just like things being researched. One of them is county-funded paid parental leave, which would be employer-paid leave at 100% pay provided to parents following the birth, adoption, or foster placement of a child. They say our committee was inspired by Ulster County's recent move to offer 12 weeks of fully paid parental leave for county employees. And then the second type is New York State paid family leave, which is a state-administered employee-funded program that offers up to 12 weeks of leave at 2/3 pay for various qualifying reasons. All private employers in New York must participate, but public employers are exempt unless they affirmatively opt in. And you know, your situations may vary. I know that I first learned of New York paid family leave doing income tax filing and was like, the NYPFL withholding is here in a box. But so two different things. That is what I have from Rachel, and I suppose you could ask questions, but I may not have the answers. But also, Samantha, if you want to bounce off that.
I just want to say that summed it up pretty well. That's what we talked about, yeah. When I mentioned language, we talked about the policy being approved, and then what Charlene was talking about with the...
I guess you have time to talk, but I guess I'm not. Okay.
Ooh, Lillian, could you mute? Yeah, thank you.
Very, very sorry.
All good.
Yeah, what Rachel mentioned about Charlene's saying that on record with updating other policies with that language, or looking at them, yeah.
And the language you were talking about, disclaimer type language that got added in?
Yeah, so we did talk about the disclaimer. I don't know necessarily that she was advocating for the disclaimer to be put in, but that we look at all the policies to ensure that we're using the same language when we're updating the policies, yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. And just for everyone on the committee or anyone watching, the diversity, equity, and inclusion policy and all internal county policies can be found on the website in the Administrative Policy Manual, which if you go to tompkinscountyny.gov, navigate to all departments, county administration, and then in their sidebar of links, there's the Administrative Policy Manual, and it is, I think, quite nice to navigate and well organized. So peruse at your leisure.
Thank you for that. I'm interested in hearing more about the parental leave decisions. I am also interested to learn whether or not one can opt into paid family leave, which is usually a rider on disability coverage, without opting into disability insurance, which public employers are also exempt from. But with regard to policies and language related to the executive orders, I know this is a subject that all of us could talk about for a long, long time. I've been involved in too many conversations in too many organizations about that subject this year. And for the purposes of this committee, I'm commenting on it because a lot of the organizations that I connect with have been modifying their language in order to placate the executive orders, and often defaulting to statements such as, we follow the law, such as United States and New York State human rights law, as just the cover of we're law abiding. And I think all of us would agree that being law-abiding participants in society is a good idea. But I'm bringing that up here because I just want to remind us all that while one can never rest on one's laurels, we should be proud that Tompkins County, New York has led New York State in incredibly important pioneering improvements to human rights law. We have gone first. So it is not just sufficient to obey. It's important for us to continue to lead and to remain proud and strong in support of the strength of the difference of our communities. That's all.
Thank you, Rob. That's really important. Thank you for making that statement. Anything else related to the Team Jedi or the topics in the update? Seeing none. Moving on to discussion items. First one being working groups and subcommittees. This is going to be sort of a loose discussion with no particular, I don't have a specific proposal, but the context for this is that to the best of my knowledge, historically WDIC has just been this one committee. It meets in these public meetings monthly, or sometimes it's been bi-monthly since, I think it's been around for 19 years now, something like that. And in that time, I don't believe it's ever had formal subcommittees. Or I suppose I don't know about working groups that were transient, but in a sense, it doesn't have much in the way of structure for doing work outside of these public meetings. And yet, these meetings are, you can do a little work here, but you really, to move on any issues or initiatives, things need to be worked on outside of these meetings. And this is true as well for the other standing committees of the legislature. And depending where you're coming from, you might compare WDIC to different types of entities. I, being a legislator, tend to compare it to our standing legislator committees and note how it's different from that. But other folks might compare it to an advisory board, notes how it's different from that, or just any number of deliberative bodies with membership that exist in the world. And so the standing legislature committees, that most of them have county departments and county staff that report to the committees. And so the committee members, the legislators, can discuss and make decisions and vote, and then hear what the staff are doing and ask them to do other things. And then those staff and their reports in their departments will go back and do whatever work, because it is part of their jobs that, it's part and parcel of your normal job. We don't have that here, as this is an advisory committee. We don't have, we have county staff on the committee, but it's not like Samantha, you're not here to take direction for your work from this committee. And Charlene, our Chief Equity and Diversity Officer, usually comes to this committee, but not as a, and I guess reports to this committee in the sense of often coming and offering a report, but it's not like we direct her work. It's, we are, among many other entities, just work on similar things with her and should be in good communication with the CEDO and everything they're doing. So, all that to say, I think one major reason that this committee has often moved slowly is just a lack of structure outside of these meetings. However, it is normal I mean, different say, advisory boards and committees differ, but it's normal for them to have, I guess, standing subcommittees and or working groups for specific projects. And I'm hoping that, Jordan, you'll interrupt me if I
You're doing great.
say anything wrong.
Well, actually, you're doing awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See, now I've lost my train of thought. But we could create these two structures, or either or both. I think typically a subcommittee would be like a long-standing thing, like something that's created and as permanent as the committee itself is. So I think if anyone's familiar with the Community Mental Health Services Board, I think of that because I was the liaison to it for a year. They are an advisory board too, although their existence is based in state law. But they're a board with members, but then they also have a really robust subcommittee structure with I think 3 subcommittees whose members also the legislature appoints. And people can be, members of the subcommittee can be also members of the main board, but also other people who are not members of the main board can be members of a subcommittee as well. Which is nice, I think, because it sort of makes the barriers between who's in here doing the work and who's not in this particular space more porous, but in a structured way. So subcommittees, and in a moment, I'm gonna ask if you all have ideas of, this might be a topic that it could be good to have a subcommittee around, or this might be something good to have a working group around. The one thing that come to my mind that could be useful to have an existing subcommittee perhaps is onboarding to this committee. We've talked about it a bunch. Rachel put things together. But I'm looking at Samantha here. It's like, we didn't really onboard you in much of a meaningful way. Beyond, I should say, our legislative clerks have a general onboarding process to the advisory boards in general, but there's only so much material that applies to all of them across the board. So that's something that could perhaps be helpful. Then the working group structure, this would be for things that are a project that has a limited time, or it's not necessarily part of the year after year after year operations of the committee, but something that we're working on now for a limited time. One example, I don't think we formalized it quite, but for the Strength and Diversity Award, was the 4 of us made a working group and met about this, and haven't met again, and I dropped the ball, and so
Let's meet again.
That's structure helps. Yeah, I'll say me. I happen to be chair of this committee. Anyone else could be in the future, but that's one example of, this would be a good, creating this process could be a good thing to have an explicit working group for. Now, we're awarding the award is something that we plan to do, of course, year after year after year. So maybe that would rise to being a subcommittee thing, or maybe once we've done it the first time and have a clear procedure, it's little enough work to continue that it doesn't need a whole subcommittee around it. It just is a thing. So with that, I have blabbed enough. Let me know if you have questions about the idea of creating subcommittees and or working groups, and or if anything is coming to mind as, one or the other of these structures might be helpful for XYZ. Rob.
I can say that the last formal subcommittee that we had was the LGBTQAI Law Enforcement Subcommittee from 2017 to 2019, co-owned by WDIC and the Sheriff's Department, which was a very robust group, and I thought we achieved a lot of good work through that. I see, like, there was still more to do, but then COVID, you know. And I thought it worked very well, especially because it was an opportunity for, members of this committee, staff, legislators, community members, and the sheriff, the undersheriff, and captain of the jail to all be together working on policy. I thought that it was an incredibly constructive structure. The Lesbian McBean Claiborne Strength and Diversity Award could be a long-term year-over-year subcommittee. The climate survey is something that we talk about all the time because that is within our remit. So it may be constructive to look at whether there is enough purpose for us to have such a subcommittee beyond the discussions and the reporting we receive here. I'm not entirely clear on that because we often give recommendations and receive reportage. And Charlene could tell me better whether or not there was work to do and what that work was, and then tell me what to do, and I would feel good about it. But otherwise, a lot of what we do, in my experience, has really benefited from a work group approach in terms of moving things forward.
Thank you. I would love to hear more either now or in the future about the LGBTQIA. Did you call it a subcommittee?
Yeah, it was a subcommittee.
Yeah, because that was before my time, and that sounds great.
Our focus was rights at work for sexual minority law enforcement professionals, and in particular also the rights of gender non-conforming and transgender detainees or persons under incarceration. It was a broad remit. We did a lot of work. We did trainings with the entire Sheriff's Department. We toured jails around the state, reviewed possibilities. Our Office of Human Rights produced a process document. I was one of the founding members of that group, so I may be biased about its value because I cared so deeply, but we kept it going for a good 3 years, and we actually achieved things with it. And I think it was also very healthy for this committee to be working with a sheriff, candidly.
Yeah, I could see that. What was the impetus for this subcommittee being created? Or for you creating it, I guess.
Well, alleged employer misconduct by a masculine gendered non-binary lesbian law enforcement professional.
Thank you. Any other thoughts, ideas?
Veronica?
Yes.
So just from the clerk's point of view and formatting and all of the regularities that subcommittees and working groups have, the clerk and I, the clerk of the legislature and I did meet to talk about the Strength and Diversity Award. We would recommend that be more so a working group because each year ends. So this year would be the 2025 Strength and Diversity Award. And also just some things to keep in mind when it comes to creation of working groups and subcommittees is your bylaws. So if at the beginning of the year you were to create your members of your Strength and Diversity Award working group, that could be stated in your bylaws. If you were to have a subcommittee, for instance, the wonderful one that you had just spoken about, other things to think about are officers. So although Charlene is not a member of WDIC, Charlene could be an officer or a member of a subcommittee. It does not need to just be membership of those that are here.
Thank you for that. Could you say the thing about the bylaws again? Like, do working groups need to be mentioned in the bylaws
So if you're going to have a consistent one, which sounds like that is the goal here because you guys would like to continue the Strength and Diversity Award, then the recommendation is definitely one section in your bylaws that say working group at the beginning in January in the first meeting of the year, or the second, whichever you guys would prefer. A working group would be created and volunteered for membership for the Strength and Diversity Award that year.
Okay, and then if we were to create a subcommittee, that would also
That would go in your bylaws also.
Yeah.
It would just indicate, what the subcommittee's goal is, and that they report to WDIC, and what their membership structure would look like.
Okay, thank you. All right. Anyone else have thoughts, either suggestion for groups, thoughts on would you want these things to be open to members outside of WDIC membership? Anything?
I like the idea a lot. I think there's an element of like psychologically like accountability and I don't know, like a feeling of if there's this work group or subcommittee outside of the the main our main advisory committee that there's like these feels like this actionable item, right? And so that feels good. I thinking about just from the past 2-3 years that I've been with WDIC, definitely the like community awards and recognition. I wonder if proclamations also could fall into that, right? So like I wonder if I think onboarding and belonging. I'm also a writing teacher, so I'm throwing out like just words, right? We've also done a lot with and somebody mentioned this and forgive me, it was somebody already said the piece of oh my gosh, I'm losing my train of thought. Sorry. But what I wrote down is like data and outreach, and I know potentially I'm verging into Jedi territory, but because WDIC, I feel like has done at least advisory work and advocacy work surrounding like the climate survey, right? That was what was mentioned. I feel like we've done more than just the climate survey in terms of data and outreach. So that could be a potential. And thinking about Jedi, I don't remember because I'm not on it anymore, but with the changes that occurred, I think last year or earlier this year, I don't know if subcommittees are still part of the structure of Jedi, but that was when I was a part of it 2-3 years ago. That was, I thought, pretty effective, and I wonder if some of the language, whether that's still the structure of Jedi, or if those documents from previously are still available that could potentially be like a helpful guide for some language with what we're trying to do.
Thank you, Nick. Those are all great ideas. And for Jedi, Samantha, I know you're new to Jedi, but do you know answers to Nick's questions?
So I believe that the parental leave group is a subcommittee of Jedi. That's the only one that I'm aware of, but yeah.
Okay. Cool, thank you. I think Rachel did call it that in her update. Yeah. Okay. Any other thoughts on subcommittee creation? What would make sense as a next step here? Or does anyone feel inspired about this and want to just talk with me offline about it later?
And I think the next step, honestly, is serious reflection on which subjects before us have enough work to merit a subcommittee and empower the members of it to carry work forward and build momentum once it's established. You know, any subgroup must have a clearly articulated purpose and things to do. Otherwise, it will fizzle.
Yes, agreed. All right, so maybe the next step is reflection on this, comparing back to the charge for WDIC in its bylaws, looking at goals we've had for this year, work we've done, how checking back with the new diversity, equity, and inclusion policy, which, you know, does mention WDIC among many other entities, and go from there. And we can revisit this next WDIC meeting. All right. Does that sound acceptable to folks? Seeing nods, seeing 2 thumbs up, amazing. All right. And then the other discussion was the Strength and Diversity Award. And really, I don't have a lot to report on that other than the informal working group needs to meet again. And I can, that was me and John and Rob and Annie. Annie's not able to make it to this meeting, but she is in general available. So we can follow up about that and come back with clearer updates in September. All right, we've come basically to the end. Does anybody have committee members' reports? Anything that anyone wants to share or bring up relevant to the work of WDIC?
I can just share a couple things, like what HR has been up to. So we've been working on collecting data for our first equity indicator, which is workforce recruitment. I have not been directly involved in that, so I don't know a whole lot of details, but I just got that update from Ruby and she wanted me to share that. She is thinking that it may be like a potential September topic. So something that I've been working on as a new person in HR in coordination with others in HR is our new HR newsletter. And it's been, I think we started in May. So we've had a few issues so far and I've gotten great feedback on it. In the last couple of issues, we've added a section where we highlighted a program from a county department that may be of benefit to other county employees. So the examples are, so last month we highlighted the caregiver support programs at COFA, the County Office for the Aging. And then this month's newsletter, we highlighted the Child Care Assistance Program at the Department of Social Services. Another thing I just wanted to mention is, so employee wellness is part of HR's action items in the strategic plan. And as part of that goal, we have been working with the Department of Emergency Response on a proposal to expand their current peer support program, which is currently what they have, their structure is available to first responders right now. And so the idea behind this expansion would be expanding it from first responders to all county employees. So right now it's in the proposal stage. We're collecting feedback. So HR and the Department of Emergency Response, so Danielle Schwartz and I have been talking with department leaders to get feedback and hear thoughts on it. So
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
All these updates. I know I've just heard nothing but good things about the peer support group, it has a specific name that I can't remember right now.
John, you may know, is it CISM?
It is CISM, so
Yes.
Critical Incident Stress Management.
Yes.
Okay, right, yes, thank you. I know even yesterday at the Public Safety Committee meeting that came up, because we were talking about a stressful event that had happened recently, and the conversation was partly about, what do we do to make things better in the future? But the director of DEWR, or Department of Emergency Response, shared that CISM had worked, I think, several hours with some of the affected people, and that it went well. And the critical incident stress management team itself is another pretty pioneering thing, as I understand it. It's very useful, very, very helpful to the community to have, but not a thing that most counties have or have by default at all. So it's even more exciting that it might expand.
Yes.
And I would
Go ahead.
I would just add to that, Veronica, I mean, not getting too deep because there are layers of confidentiality, but there have been, in the last 60 days that I'm aware of, 2 that I participated in and 1 that I did not, but there have been 3 utilizations of CISM in the last 60 days to, from what I've heard, great success. So we would definitely like to see that continue and expand to be all county.
Awesome. Also, and Samantha, you mentioned the working on the equity indicators in HR. And I just want to say, I had said that we would probably hear from a department with updates about their equity indicators, even at this meeting. That's clearly not happening. Charlene and I were working on this, and just logistically nothing worked with departments who would have been ready, but September we should have someone. And Samantha, were you implying that HR might want to come to this committee and talk, or just?
No, I think that's when it's due. That's my impression.
Okay.
Is that Ruby is working on getting the information to Charlene. So I don't know if that would be ready to be talked about in September, or if it'll be something later, but.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
and I haven't been
No
directly
pressure.
involved in it, so I don't want to say yes to that and then it not happen, so.
Yeah, that makes sense. Right. Any other committee member reports or responses to what Samantha shared? Going once, twice, thrice? Thank you for the opportunity to say thrice. All right. With that, I think we are adjourned. Thank you all. Short meeting today. Enjoy the rest of the nice weather.
And welcome, Samantha.
Yes.
Thank you.